Well, welcome aboard or ashore, wherever you are. I'm glad to see you all here today for the student showcase, themed attraction student showcase. Very, very excited to have you all here. And we're excited to see what comes of it in this kickoff as we move forward. We have a fantastic panel of judges and a board of advisors here who really are you can tell by the presence that there's a love and affection for helping others move forward in their careers and their understanding of what's going forward. I'm going to start off by introducing Peter Weishar, the academic chair for the TEA Academic Society. He's a professor at the University of Central Florida and TEA Eastern North American board member, and we're just pleased to have him on board as the academic chair and give you an opportunity to share if your heart and your thoughts. Excited to hear from you today, Peter.
Well, thanks, Freddie. I appreciate it. So here, I not only am I a professor of a themed experience program with some students in the contest in the showcase this year. So it's very excited about that. But I also help lead the Themed Experience and Attractions Academic Society. And we have a symposium that runs the last Friday of the IUPUI conference. Last year, we had over 125 individuals attending the symposium. It is a recorded event as well. Thank you to Nathan Naversen for doing that. And we were able to showcase the student work from this themed attraction showcase during our symposium. And we hope to and intend to support the student work in the same way this year. The students will have, in a printed program, the students will be recognized for those works that have been outstanding, as well as the works will be shown to all of the academics and all of the attendees at the symposium during the day. So we're really very happy to help support this effort. We think it's a terrific way to encourage excellence and diversity in the work from students and help promote what you're doing. So I'm here to support it as an academic and also as a member of the academic society as well. Oh, Freddie, I think you're still on mute there.
Thank you. See, I told you I didn't know how to use it. It's still after 2 years. Thank you, Peter. And just real quick, I want to acknowledge all of the Academic Advisory Council who are here today. Please wave at the camera so we can quickly tell who you are. I've got Dr. Jesse Cam, the IUPUI Academic Symposium. He's a general contractor and builder of cool things. I think I saw you came on, Jesse. I'm looking for your waving hand. There he is. It looks like a lobby of some sort. I hope you enjoyed your buffet. Then Peter Weishar, we just heard from. Christian Rogers, Associate Professor, Themed Attraction Design and Motion Design and at the Indiana University and Purdue University, Indianapolis. Jamie DeReuter, Faculty Entertainment Design and the Ringling College of Art and Design. Give us a wave. There he is. He just popped into frame. Fantastic. And MK Haley from the University of Texas, Austin. Give us a wave there. Thank you so much for being part of this today and as we go forward. Well, now I want to introduce Nate Naversen as he is kind of the organizer, beginner of this project, but very excited to share on the purpose and the meaning behind this event. Go ahead, Nate.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, my name is Nate Naversen. I'm with founder of themedattraction.com. Just wanted to remind you before we start that if you don't know, themedattraction.com exists as a self-publishing platform where you can promote yourself and your company. So that goes for students and companies. And if any of you have a thought leadership piece you'd like to put out there, we'd love to have you. All it costs is your time. So that's a little plug. We're also always looking for good people to help make the site better. So if you want to help be an influencer on the themed attraction site and help make themed attraction even more of an industry standard, please contact me directly. We're always looking for good people. Lastly, especially because your students are here, we put out a great video just yesterday with Christian Rogers and I, and it's about networking and how to network properly in the themed entertainment industry. It's live right now on the video section of the themedattraction.com website. Please go take a few minutes and take a look at it. It'll be well worth your time. Themed attraction student showcase. We have two goals for you. One, is to connect the students with good people in the themed entertainment industry and hopefully make you a little bit better throughout this process. But it's also to help companies give back, but in the process, find good talent. And also, I might add, we want to help make the academic programs better by helping them shape their curriculums by building that bridge between industry and the academic world. So hopefully we can accomplish all of that just a little bit through this process. So over the last few months, I've worked really hard to get a few good judges, but I was astounded at the level of talent that volunteered to help you. So please don't take this lightly. These are really good people out there who want to help you. And I want to address one thing that's a little bit of a misconception. Many of you, especially if you're new, think that maybe there's only two companies that you want to work for, that those big names, Disney Imagineering and Universal Creative. But here's the secret. Most of the people who are on the panel have worked for both, and I've worked for at least one of them. And I'll tell you that some of the best places to work are the smaller companies, and there's two reasons for that. Number one, because you're going to get to do a lot of everything and you won't be pigeonholed. And number two, most of these places will really treat you like family, as my experience was. And so I hope to let you know that the companies that we've invited here is not an accident. These are really good people. They're here to help you. So please, please take advantage of this. At the end of this process, we're going to have hopefully 10 people and 10 companies that you can go shake hands with at IUPUI at their trade show booths. I just want to put this out there. If you're nervous, just let me know, hit me up, and I will go shake hands with you. The window to sign up for, if you still are interested in adding a project, will be open for a few more days. It'll close right at the end of the month at midnight. And then the window to open and start publishing your content will be starting on the 1st of the month. That window will be open for 30 days. I just want to emphasize to you a couple things. One, I'm going to send you a video on how to upload these documents. Look for that. But the key here is that you don't need to learn how to be a webmaster here. I'll help you get your content right. So reach out to me and I'll make sure that it's properly formatted so that you can communicate your message properly. And with that, I'll turn it back over to Freddie.
All right. Jesse, since you're here, we wanted to walk through and talk about the judging criteria before I introduce our panel of judges.
Yeah, great. So Freddie or Nathan, could you share the rubric if you have that handy? While you're doing that,
I'll email that out to everybody, all the participants. The judges already have the rubric, and the students, we have everyone's email address. So I'll send that out along with the upload instructions.
Sure.
Does that work?
So I don't have the 7 categories memorized, so I was thinking you could throw it up on the screen for me and everybody can see it. But we encompass a lot of different university programs here. So we might have students who are in the engineering themed clubs at some, and then some that are on the more creative design side. So we intentionally left the categories broad to try to cover everything from blue sky down to operational and budget, finance, project management. So the best ones would cover maybe all of those elements, but we realized that some will focus on one particular thing. And that's what this whole thing was designed to do, was to highlight what you're really good at. Because we know that these projects don't occur with 1 or 2 individuals who do everything. It's a whole team. So when you're judging judges, we've asked you to rate them from 1 to 5 in the different categories. And we realize that some might be strong in some and some some that won't be as strong as others, which is why we call it the showcase rather than a competition, because we really want the students to showcase what they've done in their academic programs and to really get a chance to shine on what they do best. And then the fun part was kind of the superlatives. So last year we had a lot of great comments from the judges. Things like Tom Morris was saying, I really want to ride this one. So that ended up being a comment that a lot of kids got an award for. So we kept it really simple, or at least we hope we did for the judging, and really broad for the students and how you have to submit. And so any questions or concerns can be directed at me and Nate, and we will pass it along.
Fantastic. Thank you, Jesse. All right. And as you have, we're going to do a Q&A here in a little bit. As you have questions about the rubric and the judging, please do raise your hands, whether it's here or by reaching out to the team through Nathan. You can get your answers answered. So let's take some time to meet our judges. And this is a really exciting time because each one of these folks has accomplished in one measure or another within the themed entertainment industry, with a variety of disciplines represented here. Some people who have created some of your favorite attractions in and around the world. And so it's an honor to have them with us today and through this process. You cannot know the burden of judging contests like this until you are one and you've been emailed a very large load of documents, reading videos, images, and you want to give it all a fair shake. And so there is so much care and love put into this that we are really, really very grateful to each one of them for putting the time into this, and cheer them for their generosity. And each one of you, I'm going to give you a quick moment to introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about your background. I'm going to really be tight on a 2-minute thing, so don't start the big story. We can get into that later. But do tell us who you are, where you're from, what some of your background is, and if you can fit it in, why you care about the next generation of leaders entering this industry. I'm going to start with Mark Amos, the Vice President, JRA, part of the RWS Entertainment Group. Mark, say hello.
Hello. Good to see a bunch of faces, some familiar and some not. My name is Mark Amos, and I am the Vice President at JRA. We've recently merged with RWS to become part of their broader entertainment family. We are located here in sunny Cincinnati, Ohio, in kind of the middle of the Midwest, and have a broad reach of projects that kind of extend from children's museums to science centers, theme parks, brand and immersive experiences around the globe. I have been at JRA for a fewer years than most here at the studio, for 18 years, with about 22 years of greater or broader experience in the industry. Started as a CAD draftsman, coming into the studio here, and worked all the way through design, project management, and into directing projects of bigger and broader scale across a lot of the theme parks and big brand centers that we've done for JRA. I am super excited to be a part of this panel. I've worked on a couple other student panels in the past 5 or 6 years. This one really well organized, and greatly appreciate a lot of the high caliber people that I'll be able to work alongside of with the judging panel. So really excited about this and the opportunities heading forward.
Thank you, Mark, and the rest of you. That was a great example of a 2-minute intro. Get that feel, and you'll be able to stick with it. Scott Alt is going to help buy us some extra time because he's not with us this morning. He's from Railton Entertainment Design, managing partner, and has been part of all kinds of projects, including Walt Disney Imagineering, World Expo pavilions, and just loves fostering a great creative process. All right, next up, Ian Mcvitty, Executive Vice President at Technfxxr. How's it going, Ian?
It's going good. Thank you. Great to see all the smiling faces. I run part of the division of Technfxxr that deals with training and simulation for the military and first responders. I'm about a year and a few months into the new role. Basically focused on a lot of technology integration, and you may say, what does that have to do with themed entertainment? It really does have a lot to do with themed entertainment, creating a storyline to create more of an immersive experience, so you get greater efficacy in the training as well as retention for people going through the process. Prior to this, I was with Disney for a little over 22 years. Main focus was animation, pipeline development. So all the audio animatronic figures that you've seen out in the parks, probably either have touched it, designed it, or led a team that developed it. Prior to that, I had a career that was in the theater in New York, and started work for a small company, much like what was discussed before. Prior to Disney, starting with a small company was a great way to kind of get things rocking and rolling. I've had a great many mentors along the way that helped, kind of shape the career that I've had. And I think this is just another fantastic opportunity to kind of pay back and share what I've learned, and hopefully, share those great experiences as well as the ones that weren't so great, to help you guys inform your future.
Thank you very, very much. And right on time. I just love it. All right. Next up is Jason Mcmanus. He's a principal at the ThinkWell Group. When you think about some of the folks in the industry who have icons like Joe Rohde's earring or Ward Kimball's glasses, I always know when Jason's in the room when I see those white frames. Jason, tell us about yourself.
Which also means you don't know it's me when I don't have them on. So
that's right, invisible.
So yeah, I'm Jason Mcmanus. I'm a principal and senior creative over at ThinkWell Group. I oversee a lot of the creative portfolio at ThinkWell and the projects there. So yeah, I've been in the business for 20 years, started at Imagineering for all you students out there. I also started in this business not knowing exactly how I fit into it, and had to kind of find my way. And ask me sometime. I started as an intern at Imagineering and almost got fired 3 times during my internship, and I'm very proud of that fact. So ask me about the stories, and I'll tell you how I did it. Yeah, I do this because I had a lot of mentors that pulled me into the industry. John Hinch was my mentor as I got in. If you don't know John Hinch, he was one of the Disney legends, and he ran Imagineering at the time. And he told me, he's like, look, your generation is going to be the people that kind of take what we do and push it into other things that we don't even know exist right now. And I think you guys are going to be the ones that take what we do, storytelling and experience design, and you're going to solve a lot of the world's problems with that. I think, look at what's going on politically, environmentally, all these things that are challenges of the world. I think experience design is going to be the way that we solve some of those. And so it's an exciting time to be coming into the industry and doing stuff like this, and I'm excited to help you all. Thank you, Jason.
And next up, we have Paitun Ratanasir Intrawut. It looks like he shortens it on the Zoom, so to make it easy on you, welcome. He is the Executive Creative Director, Executive Producer at Itec Entertainment.
Wow, you say the last name perfectly. Thank you.
Did I?
That was great.
Before you got on, I told everybody I would practice.
Thanks for having me. My name is Paitun, and my last name is, you can call me, Paitun Ratan. That's okay. My role at Itec is basically a creative lead, and I'm helping with the visions and coming up with all the concepts and storyline with the team at Itec to help the client fulfill their vision. My background is a little bit different than I think most people here. I started out as an industrial design student, graduated from Columbus College of Art and Design. And right after I graduated, I got a job at Walt Disney Feature Animation and got to work on animated films during the 1990s. So I got to work on The Lion King, Pocahontas, and things like that, which is still hand-drawn, and it's something that I love to do to this day. And then right after that, I worked all the way to about Brother Bear. That was the end of my Disney feature animation career. And I became a consultant. I started working for people like Universal Creative, Walt Disney Imagineering, Walt Disney Entertainment, and start to do a lot of product development for Walt Disney consumer product and some video game for EA. And that's when I got a call from Itec and said, come and help us with some of the theme parks and attractions here at Itec. And I've been at Itec for about 9 years, and I've been doing a lot of theme park, doing a lot of attractions, and a lot of mixed use developments. So that's my career in a nutshell. But just like what Jason just said, a lot of people have helped me along the way, and always look for an opportunity to do something like this to help the next generation of designers.
Thanks very much. Next up, we've got John Polk, Vice President, Senior Project Director at Technfxxr. I was just looking, there he is. How do you do?
Well, I have a new title. I've been promoted since then, so things move fast. Senior Vice President.
Oh.
Thank you guys for having me. I'm really thrilled to be involved. I started in the lighting and water features industry and somehow got sucked into Walt Disney Imagineering, where ultimately I ended up leading the imaging and special effects group. So I like to say I was the dumbest guy in the room. When you're at Imagineering, you're surrounded by so much talent. And to reaffirm, I'm at Technfxxr now, and I'm surrounded by equally talented people. And I'm fortunate enough to get to work with people like Jason and others on this panel on a regular basis. And this is not my first judging. MK Haley invited me to the Imaginations competition or celebration, whatever it was, during the Imagineering time, and it really was fulfilling for me to see the energy of the young students and some of the great ideas that come out of these young minds. So I'm very happy to be able to support the effort and be part of the team here. Less than a minute.
Yes, well played. All right, next up is some of our returning judges. Did I see Louis Alfieri on here? I'm not sure I do.
I think he was one of the guys who was on an airplane, and this was the one, we got 8 out of 10 to be able to make it.
Yeah, not too shabby. He's a principal and chief creative officer at Raven Sun Creative. Lots of cool projects, including stuff for Universal Creative, Transformers the Ride, Hollywood Rip Ride Rocket, fun stuff like that. And you can read more about him on the judging panel, which I dropped into the chat. Peter Cliff, CEO at Conductor. Thank you so much for joining us this evening.
Thanks for having me back. Yeah. So my background, I started as a performer actually at Alton Towers in the UK. So street entertainer, etc. Finished there as global creative director, looking after all their shows, live events, and story-driven attractions. So working across the whole group, Madame Tussauds, Legolands, etc. Then I joined Holoviz, where I was their VP of Creative. Holoviz specializing in technology, large-scale audio-visual systems, and then departed and set up my own company about 2.5 months ago. So this is pretty fresh for me. The kind of what we specialize in is using kind of real horizon technologies to tell stories. So we're working in AI, computer vision, 3D sound, projection mapping, real-time profiles, to kind of create really cool experiences. And the best way I can explain that is, you know, we're creating the illusion gags within a theatre show, and then we also kind of know how to create the context around that to make sure we're not kind of just haphazardly throwing technology for technology's sake. So yeah, I worked on some really cool projects, but for me, especially in the UK, there isn't really a kind of process of getting into the industry, because it's not quite as significant as it would be with Universal and Disney. You have to kind of fight your way through and do a bit of everything. So I think the big thing for me was, especially for UK participants, was trying to give access to this industry, the wonderful industry that is themed entertainment. So yeah, really looking forward to it. Loved it last year. Can't wait to see what you guys do.
Love it. Thank you so much, Peter, for joining in. Next up is the chat master, giving us websites, etc. As we go. Thank you so much for being my co-host, MK Haley. Welcome to the panel again.
Thanks. It occurred to me, you know, John Polk just said things move fast. I was just promoted. There's been so many mergers. I mean, even just last week at the TEA Summit, there was quite a few announcements about companies merging and changing names and the like. So things move fast. And so sometimes we throw around these words like we presume everybody knows what we're talking about. They may not. So I'm dumping them in there. Not only is this an industry full of lots of great companies globally, it's a project-based industry, so we keep moving around. Two of the folks on the panel here, John Pope and Peter Weischer, have been my boss in the past, Peter in academia and John at Imagineering. So that's one of the very exciting things about how dynamic things are. I was at Imagineering for about 28 years, almost all that time in the R&D group. Although my training is fine arts, I have a BFA and MFA in virtual reality. And all of these things very equally contribute, right? There's a bajillion disciplines and possibilities for cross collaboration here. So especially seeing a competition and a showcase like this, we get to see you all work with each other and how you contribute those multidisciplinary skill sets to a single effort. I've also judged probably 10 bajillion showcases and competitions. So it's really nice to see the trends and how well students can represent themselves, and how you'll see students participate in something one year and then next year how much better they've improved their work based upon the feedback from the judges. So that's always super exciting to see. And also the industry is turning back on, right? We've had about 2+ years of what I call the terribleness. If you're in school now, it's a good time to be in school, because things are about to turn back on. Internships have started being posted. There's lots of great resources out there for you to find these. This panel, everyone you're looking at right now, are folks who could be very helpful in that regard. So we're not just having a relationship right now for this showcase. Please do take advantage of these relationships. Link us all in, connect, reach out, because there's a lot of resources we have that we can share with you.
Thank you so much, MK. The final judge on the list is actually my co-host on the Themed Attraction podcast. I hope you all will join us on any podcasting platform that you use. We love to have some great guests on there. And some of the folks here are either pending guests or past guests, and we're so pleased to share industry stories and secrets, and especially encouragement on the Themed Attraction podcast. There is my plug. And so my co-host on that is Mel McGowan, Chief Creative Officer at Storyland Studios. Take it away.
Hey, everybody.
Mel.
Yeah, good. Thanks, Freddie. Great to be with you. Sorry, I'm in the mobile office here, as usual, as Freddie knows, but great to be with you. And we haven't merged or acquired anyone in a bit. We've been doing our thing for 2 decades here at Storyland Studios, and was able to spend the 90s at Disney, get trained up, and got sent to grad school, and combined that film degree with a master's in master planning and design. And so at Storyland, I get to kind of lead our creative team as Chief Creative Officer, and excited to be back in the States after kicking off 2 theme park projects in Saudi Arabia last week. And yeah, like I said, great to Great to be back here in the States and excited. We have learned that there are multiple fruits in carving out time and trying to be generous with pouring into the next generation. We've been big fans and believers of some of these newer programs that are focused on the wonderful multidisciplinary motley crew that is experiential design and themed entertainment. And we've been able to, again, be the recipients of a number of interns and great hires and people that have been able to grow up in our group to be some of our senior creative directors and lead designers and some real talent. So it's kind of a no-brainer to spend as much time as possible with kind of the future of our industry in my book. So thanks for the invite.
Fantastic. Thank you, Mel. Well, folks, right now what we're going to do is move into we've done great on time, so I want to make sure that we've got, and thank you all of you judges for joining us and being part of that. I hope you'll stick around here for the next half hour as we work through a bit of a Q&A. I want to start first with some Q&A focused. Any of the student showcase participants who have already begun the process of filling out applications, working through any of the forms, etc., or are thinking through how your project actually applies within the set of rules that are laid forward, I'd love for you to have an opportunity right now to raise a hand and give us your questions. We want to make sure that we're filling you up with what it is you need to know before you get started on the project. So any questions about the process? Alan, I love your background. Jock Lindsay's one of the great places to hang out. Anybody questions on the student showcase? I'm sure they'll come up.
Also, feel free to type it in the chat.
Yeah, yes, that'd be great. All right, if I'm not seeing any raised hands immediately, let's, if any of you have any questions for the judges, and this can be fun. Feel free to ask about any projects that you heard them talk about, or their particular places that they're working in or have worked. You can say it in general. Hey, and judges, what would you say about this issue? Or if you have any questions specific to a judge, please call them out. Judge or our panel of advisors. I'm going to start with one because I'm not seeing any in the chat quite yet. I'm going to start with one. Jason Mcmanus, tell me about your train.
Multiple trains. So I'm a train nut. I love trains. I have 2 steam locomotives that I built that are riding scale trains, go around my property and stuff. So I'm a big kid. I acquired a full-size steam engine that I've been restoring for the last 15 years. So yeah, so it's always good to have multiple hobbies. There's no hobby I don't do, I guess. So trains are the big one.
Well, what's fun about that, you know, like we all know that a lot of our industry started with backyard trains and a love for trains. And so that you kind of seem like that genetic successor. So I really appreciate that.
It's the first ride system.
Yes.
Hi,
Hi,
my
Grace.
name's Grace. Hi, I have a kind of a general question. Is there anything in these presentations that we should avoid doing, like judges see it all the time or anything like that?
Thoughts on that panel?
There's one quick answer I can give on that if I can step in. So, okay, so I see a lot of student presentations and, you know, I teach at CalArts, so my students do presentations all the time. The number one thing I tell them is whatever you present it with conviction, right? Don't try very hard when you're looking at these presentations to avoid saying like, we were thinking, or, you know, confidence in your presentation is the number one thing that's going to sell your idea, right? And having confidence and just believing in what you're presenting and presenting it that way is half the battle. So I would say that's one thing to avoid, is avoid like, we were thinking, or don't weakly pitch it, own it and sell it. That's half the battle of this.
Yes. I'll reiterate that fact. Jason nailed it on the head. My man there said it exactly right. People are passionate about what you're passionate about. So bring the fire and show us that you love it.
And Trey has a question in the chat about how a team signs up. Does only one team member need to register, or does every single member have to submit their own form?
I can answer that. I was answering in the chat, but yeah, you should all register for an account just for legalities reasons, in terms of service, etc. But the form will have enough information for every team member on there, so you only have to submit one form. The one thing I would say is that we're trying to grade based on levels. So the levels are year 1 and 2, years 3 and 4, and then if you're a graduate/intern, graduate student or an intern, then that's sort of the higher level where the grades will reflect, or the judging criteria will be a little bit stricter, or maybe you understand what I'm saying, based on the level of coursework that you're doing. So do indicate the highest level. So in other words, if you have a bunch of sophomores and one senior, indicate level 3 and 4 on your registration. And I
Also,
hope that
just in
answers your
general,
question.
Trey, there's no such thing as a dumb question. They're all good questions. And if you have it, so does most everyone else. So
That's right.
just let her rip. Also, we're not lawyers, but we're going to say steer clear of other people's IP. It's just bad practice in general to use work that you have no right to. If something has already been done, if you're like, oh, well, the world loves Small World, I'm going to do Small World only Alaska. That's been done. Try and do something a little bit more original. And also, we're really interested in seeing what you're good at. Students will often say, try and second guess what the judges want to see. That's a bad guess, because I do not want to see an engineer do bad art. I want to see an engineer do great engineering. So communicating what your chosen discipline is, and everyone in the jury knows what they're looking at. And so show us what you're most interested in and what you're best at.
Yeah, and go ahead.
I was just going to add into one thing MK was saying is on the point of don't do something someone else has done, that just a little clarity to that doesn't mean things can't be derived from a previous idea, right? Like Small World inspired this idea. We're going to take it and push it further or change it up in this way. A lot of attractions out there use the exact same ride system. They've just all kind of evolved over time to do different things. So don't discount using something as inspiration as well.
And I was going to add to what MK said, what you're good at, showcase that. If you don't have a great draftsman on the team, that's okay. The drawings, but you have a great writer, get the writing going, and really flex the muscles that you have, because the judges will be able to see and hear through. And if you see one of the packages come through and you're like, wow, their illustrator is so fantastic, don't let that deter you or make you step away.
Yeah, if I could add, I mean, just one of the fundamental characteristics of this industry, it's definitely not about the individual contributor, singular creative artist or writer or single genius. It really is ultimately about the team. And so kind of the team that's either cast or that you kind of get together, that really kind of makes or breaks the effort. I mean, a well-rounded team that kind of complements each other, frankly, is kind of one of the not so secret weapons for success.
It was interesting when I was talking to Scott Alt, he said, I don't know if you want me as a judge because I'm not Herb Ryman, I'm not a great concept artist. He says, but what I do is I put together teams, and he was the chief operating officer at BRC Imagination Arts for a lot of years. So he puts the sort of the pieces together. And I thought what I told him is, I said, look, that is a very important thing for people to understand, that you don't have to be the concept artist. There's a place for you in this industry, and you can do a lot of different things. You can be that guy who sort of puts all the project together. You can be that show producer. You don't have to be the pencil. So let that encourage you. And I said, absolutely, we want you, Scott, because you're the guy who's not the Herb Ryman. You bring a fresh perspective on how these things are put together. So I just wanted to add that.
Yes.
Yes, or the girl. Sorry, I was being too generic. My apologies, MK.
One thing I would say as well is lean into your unique position as being younger than most of the people on the judging panel. And that's one of the things that I often find is really challenging, especially for older designers, is trying to remain in touch with like what's coming through. You all have a very unique perspective on the world, be that through social media, through online, through just communication. Is use it, because sometimes it's the real kind of small nuanced stuff that you might think is like really boring and not interesting, can kind of give a really different perspective on how to shape an attraction. So I think that's quite a unique thing to kind of play around with.
Cool. Thanks, Grace, for breaking the seal on the questions about the contest. Have any more questions about the contest, anybody?
If I could actually break in, there's one person that we forgot today, and that was Jessica Piatti, who has graciously offered her time. And so one of the things we've said is that you can't use professional help to complete your project. There was one project question out of is it Ringling or SCAD, where they said, well, look, it's being professionally produced, but we're showing our student work. That's perfectly fine. So you shouldn't be hiring a professional singer or a voiceover guy to do your video or whatever you're going to produce. That being said, we have, as in for a level playing field, a professional designer, Jessica, who is available to help you or just give another set of eyes for your project. And so I wanted to introduce her and allow her to say something about herself too, so she doesn't feel skipped over. I apologize about that. You were supposed to be on the list.
No problem. Hi, everyone. I'm Jessica Piatti, and I'm an Italian attraction designer. I started as communication design student in Milan, and then I went to a VFX professional course because I really, really wanted to be an animator. And then I found out I was terrible at it. But what I took out from animation was this beautiful world building and stories that now I'm trying to put in the attractions that I design. I got in touch with the contest last year during, we stay home, and I was really, really looking forward to the next pitch. And actually, pitches are a little bit my specialty. I work as a graphic designer and story builder for Blue Sky phases, but also later on in all the other different phases. And I would really like to help you bring your ideas to life and really be presented in a very nice and engaging way, so that everybody can be very attracted and really, really want to go on your rides or on your experiences.
Yes, so grab Jessica's contact info as best you can here. I'm sure Nate can pass it on, Jessica, as you find appropriate. That's fantastic. Any other questions, folks?
Hey, everyone. My name is Rod. I'm going to be part of the UF team. We'll be joining soon. For those of us submitting a video for our final submission, is there a cap on the time limit you want us to follow?
There is two answers to that, and I'm sure others will comment. The number one answer is whatever it takes to communicate your message. The better answer is less than 10 minutes. So I'll leave the floor open to others.
No, I think you nailed it, Nate. I think if you consider the judges have over 20 of these to watch, if you had to watch 10 or 20 10-minute videos, how you would feel at the end of it. So if you can be clear and concise in a brief amount of time, but take the time you need, but remember that precision and clarity and expediency. Nobody wants to watch a 20-minute pitch. So definitely try to keep it as short as you can.
I also want
I
to
would
mention that last year we required a video. This year it's whatever it takes to communicate your message. So feel free, if you are just a great illustrator and you want to put your drawings out there, feel free to do that. It doesn't need a video. It's just whatever it takes to communicate your message.
I would also say that you could kind of borrow a little bit from, you know, as Jason was mentioning earlier, experiences. You know, most of your average dark rides are between 3 and 5 minutes, which is a great duration for a captive audience to be able to be delivered a message and have a strong takeaway from that. So if you've got a video, keeping it in that range means you're going to keep a captive audience for it and still provide a lot of opportunities for support materials that can be gone through as well.
Thank you very, very much. Questions? Others?
Yeah, just hi everyone, I'm Becca. I know a few of you already, but just to those ends as well, I'm a writer and I very much understand that no one wants to flick through a 60-page treatment under any circumstances unless deemed necessary. So on alternative deliverables and providing things like written deliverables, how much is acceptable, or how much would you like? And is there an option to provide additional materials that you can flip through at your leisure should you want?
You know, so we have this question all the time with writers and how they contribute to pitched presentations like this. And I would say any writers on these teams, a way you can help the presentation is almost kind of scripting out, not saying scripting out what everyone is saying, but helping kind of the narrative and the strategy of how the presentation flows from the beginning to end. So like if you think of every presentation of you lay out the problem and then you solve the problem, as a writer, you can think of how are we telling that story, right? And so I think you're kind of indirectly having an output in the presentation. There are some written things that you can put in and everything to help support what's being said, but I think your role is almost like you're the overall script writer for the presentation in general, and you can help give those presentations structure and help figure out what you're going to say, how you're going to say it, and all of that, if that makes any sense.
Good.
Just for your second question though too, I agree with what he just said. You have the option to put as much or a little as you want on the website on your presentation piece. So if you feel inclined to put a manuscript, you're free to do so.
I just want to note that in the chat, Jessica put her contact information there, so please do grab it before the call's over. I would like to hear if you have questions about the contest. We've got 10 minutes left, and I wanted to be able to ask some other questions in case they're useful. So please do, or some of the fun questions I want to ask. I know Ian has been involved with quite a bit of animation at studios, and Pytoon's been involved in a lot of animation in the films. And when we think about animation, whether it's done through video projections, etc., or in animatronics or animated scenes and sets, I'm so curious how you think about those projects from the perspective of all this needs is a turning head or a moving branch or something like that, or we really need to articulate this thing into a full focused character. I'm always been curious about where and how do you make those decisions to this doesn't need to go that far, or this does need the full treatment.
Maybe I'll start. At least for us, that's always kind of the challenge. Just because you could doesn't mean you should. And, Disney's been guilty of it, many different times, of over delivering on a performance of a particular character that really doesn't fit within the storyline. Simplicity is best, and it's really kind of boiling down to, what are you trying to communicate with this figure? Is it a primary, secondary, tertiary to the show? And does it need to have this physical presence? Because if you look back at, some of the original sculpts by Blaine and company, you can see the emotion in their faces. And a lot of times it's that plus, some simple motion that really kind of, connects the storyline between the different scenes or the environment that it's in. We have overloaded some figures, and I won't call names which one it is, but a lot of money has been spent on a lot of functionality that you never see. It's a dark ride, you're bouncing around, and it's really kind of that balance of trying to figure out the actual timing that you're going to be in there, the environment, and how do you connect the dots, right?
Thank you. That's great.
That's great answer, Ian. From the storytelling standpoint, I think to animate something or not animate something should always go back to the question of why. Why are we doing that? What is the reason? Because to move something in animation require people to draw it, right? So if it's not necessary, then you don't really need to do it. Always go back to that question. Ask yourself that question a lot of, why are we doing this? What is the logic? What is the story? Would a character do that if you were, if you put yourself in that situation? I think I'm happy to hear that there's a writer in this group, because I think writing is probably the most unsung heroes in all of this stuff, because I think everything that we do should start with that. I think the whole reason we have Walt Disney is because he wanted to tell a story. There's a story that he wanted to tell. And I think we got to figure out a way to do that in all of our design. Having gadgets and all the technologies and all that fun, extra stuff is great. But it's meaningless if you go in there, you go into a ride and you walk away from it and say, meh, I didn't even know why I was there.
Yeah, right.
It's important to grab pull the heartstring of the audience in some way, whether it's fascinating storytelling, amazing set and scenic, beautiful art, and most importantly, answer the question, why are we doing that?
Yeah. Sounds like it starts and ends with story, doesn't it?
Yeah. And same thing apply to your presentation too. I think Jason touched on that. You got to believe in it. But before you believe in it, you got to understand why you're doing it. Why do you want to present that? It's always go back to that. What is your vision? What is the mission of this project? And the moment you understand that, the moment your entire team is aligned in that vision and mission, chances are your project is off to a good start.
Mm-hmm. Good, thanks. I'm sure John Polk would say the same. If you're going to put a water feature or pyro features, the intentionality of something like that and wanting to put that into an attraction or an environment really would need to serve the story rather than just for excitement's sake.
Yeah, and everyone hates water, by the way.
Yeah, I had somebody tell me in an interview, they said, like Jurassic Park, water finds a way a way to ruin everything.
Yeah, it really is. It can be, and other atmospheric effects, steam, liquid nitrogen, you name it, can be very impactful because they're real. And the human is really connected to elements like water. But you do have to be very cautious, and you can't be frivolous with it, because water will find its way. We did a touring show where the artist had all of these fountains in the stage, and it was a world tour. So it had to pack up every night, fill up with water, heat the water because it was on the performers, and put it in the back in the shipping container and go out to the next town. And it was just an incredible show. It was Kylie Minogue's world tour a few years back. And I was just looking at the video yesterday. It's like so beautiful. But when it tore down, the venue people were not happy with the fact that there was water in their arena. But yeah, I do tend to live in the water space, and yeah, I did World of Color and a bunch of the big castle shows and all that. And I love it. Like I say, it's very impactful. But you have to be careful, and like Ian said, just because you can doesn't mean you should. And I think that's a quote I'm going to steal, and that's a really good point. But yeah, tastefully done and used appropriately, all of these elements come together to tell the whole story.
Well, Peter and Mel, I know you both have worked in operations in themed worlds. Can you talk a bit about the importance of having that experience to, working in a park or park adjacent in the operations part to now being part of the design execution? How has that background influenced what you do? I think.
So, I mean, for me, when guests enter into a park, they seem to leave their brains at the gates, and they have a very different way of kind of observing and of understanding the world. And I think it's really important to understand that when you design. I'll never forget when I was designing haunts for Merlin, and there being a point in the attraction where there was a kind of lovely lit corridor in front of the guests, and there was a fireplace to the right hand side of the guests, and just seeing a group trying to shuffle and go up the fire chimney, because for them that seemed like the obvious way to go. And it just kind of struck me as there's a unique way to kind of tell stories. You have to understand about grabbing people's attention as well. It's not like producing content for television where you've got a captive audience. When you put someone into a queue, that's the point in which you grab them. And how do you do that? You almost have to turn the volume up to 11, repeat the story, make sure that story's super simple. But again, you've got the added challenge of trying to make sure that what you're doing is different. So how do you do that? And one thing I've done historically is try to take kind of something that is a fairly simple and robust narrative, and then just put a tilt onto it. So find something that just makes it different, or bringing two very strong themes together and seeing what kind of frictions created by kind of like merging the two. And I think that often kind of gives you kind of like a good foundation, but again, kind of takes it somewhere different. But yeah, I just reiterating that point of keep it simple, and use both visual, audio, scenic, all to reiterate that story. It's why story is so important. Even if it's not the most narrative driven attraction, story brings everything together and makes sure everything's moving in the right direction to kind of get that inflection and leave people feeling the way you want them to feel.
Thanks, Peter. Well, we are at time, folks. Thank you all for being involved. I'm willing to stay around for another 15 minutes and have conversations if anybody else is, but we just want to give some silent or loud gratitude to our judges, to our panel of advisors. We're just so grateful for you. And then as you go forward into your projects, we just cheer you on. Thank you so much for joining in the process and making this a priority for you in this time. We hope that it's a growing experience for you. There was one more question. Yes, there was one more question. Will a retail dining and entertainment experience work within the judging criteria? And the answer is yes. So please do. I'm hungry.
I had one quick question last minute.
Yes. Thanks, Toby.
So as far as trying to create something that as far as the deliverables for everything. Is it better to have an overview of our entire land design, or is it better to like kind of hyper focus on something as far as like the presentation goes?
Looking to Jesse, yeah.
Yeah, he kind of broke up on my end. So could you restate the question, please?
Yeah, sorry. So with trying to create the deliverables, be quick and concise and whatnot, when we're designing an entire land design, is it better to have an overview of the entire thing, or is it better to kind of hyper focus on one specific aspect of it to present, at least for this showcase?
Your choice, but I'm going to go ahead and point to Storyland's recent is a reel on their Nashville theme park, Storyville Gardens. It's a pretty good quick synopsis of how to tell that story pretty quick, and you quickly get the lay of the lands that they're trying to show out. So maybe look at that as an example of how to get your story across real quick.
I'll try to figure out where is that in some of the documents, Nathan, or is that something I need to pull up
What's
and
that?
share? Storyland or Storyville Gardens presentation deck.
There you go. I think somebody just put it up on.
Oh, they did?
Chat.
No.
Good, thank you.
Oh yeah, Matt. Good job, Matt.
Way to be. Perfect.
So
Thank you.
judges, real quick, you have a break of about 30 days and then your work begins. And so if you don't have the judging rubric, let us know. You'll also be asked how much of this you want to take on. You can do only the individuals, only the teams, or you can do it all. And Jesse and I will be available to take your questions on that. And Freddie, anything else you have for the panel or for the guests?
No, just grateful to you all. And